In the last lecture, we wrote this for loop to display all the odd numbers between 0 and 5. Now in this lecture, I'm going to show you how to implement the same logic but using a while loop. Now one key difference between a while loop and a for loop is that in for loops, the loop variable is part of the loop itself. But in while loops, we have to declare this variable externally. Let me show you what I mean. So we start with declaring a variable like I and set it to 0. Note that this I we have here is different from the I we have in this for loop because this variable is only meaningful and accessible inside of this for loop. This is called scope, and I'm going to talk about it later in the course. All I want you to know is that these two variables are completely different even though they're named the same. Now, we have our loop variable initialized to 0. Next, we add a while statement. In parentheses, we need to add our condition. What is the condition here? That is I less than or equal to 5. So I'm going to add that here. Next, we need to add our statements. So what is the statement that we want to repeat? Here's the statement. We want to display the odd numbers. So we add that here as well. And finally, at the end of this while block, we need to increment I. So this is a direct translation of this for loop into a while loop. So this is what happens when we execute this code. Initially, I is 0. Now, in the while loop, first, this condition is evaluated. If this condition is true, then the body of the while loop will be executed. Again, in the next iteration, the condition is evaluated again. If it's true, the statements in the while block will be executed. Otherwise, the while block will terminate. In the next lecture, we're going to look at another kind of loops in JavaScript.